Hello and welcome back, Raiders and Raiderettes. Chesty Puller here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And going along with the Marius missions here, I was struggling a little bit with Fire Knight Hard. I was stuck on Fire Knight Hard 9. And so today I built a team um, that beats Fire Knight Hard 10. And I wanted to show it to you. And in a way, it's about crowd control to begin with, because those first two waves will really, kill you. Because if you don't go into the Fire Knight with full strength, then his first hit is going to kill you. And the only way to avoid his first hit is to be really, really fast. And in order to be really, really fast, I mean, you have to just be all your team has to be fast. So what I do is I take two hits, or excuse me, I take one hit. Only two of my champions are faster than the Fire Knight. So I take one hit, and it's a little bit of RNG if you survive. But 99% of the time I do survive. And so um, let's go into the Fire Knight and I'll show you. Um, I did make a mistake. I think I have one of my settings wrong here. Um, and like I said, this works sometimes the way that I have it set up. I'll show you the new setting after we run this run one time, but it's kind of RNG how much of the turn meter you can turn back on the Fire Knight. And so I want to fix one setting here. And that is on Cryodin. Just before he enters in, I was having him hit the shield. But now I don't want him hitting the shield because the Fire Knight throws out an AoE decreased speed. And so in order to counter the AoE decreased speed, I want him to throw out the AoE um, increased speed. And that's a little bit of a risk because we lose 3 hits. But usually the turn meter of the Fire Knight at that point is 50%. So here we go in. What I'm using is Mikage immediately comes in and uses her crowd control because we don't want anybody to take a turn. So Mikage comes in with her crowd control. That's going to be her only time she uses that. That's her A2. Actually, she has to or merge to her second form before she uses her A2. I'll show you the setup. And and then Cryodin, he uses his crowd control one time. Then we go to round 2, and Yakarl uses Glaciate, which is his crowd control. Mikage uses her crowd control and then transforms into her main form. And that's important because if she transforms into her form in the next round, then she will not do her opening move because transforming was her opening move. And even if you say that's your opening move, she'll think it's her second move and she'll ignore the opening move and kind of screw it up because she uses her um, her ability before I want her to use it, which is um, the Royal Decree, I think it's called, and that's her. where everyone attacks. And so there's a lot going on here. Okay, so you need to get the Fire Knight slow. So that's another thing that you need Cryodin to slow the Fire Knight down. He has to be slow. Um, so we let the Fire Knight take his turn, and then it's going so fast that it's hard to tell. But I need the Fire Knight to slow down because he's so fast. Okay, actually, Yakarl puts the slow on him. So Yakarl put the slow on him. Now we need the speed on us. So Cryodin does that. And you'll see how high the turn meter gets. It is like almost over, and then we can get him down. Now, what I have to do with Newt is I have to turn off his A3, but his A3 does a lot of damage. So I manually do the A3. But if you have to do the Marius mission, and you have to do this 10 times, and you have no other way of doing it, it will work without his A3 at all. It just takes a lot longer. So I manually, after Mikage does her allied attack, then I use, because that's when the turn meter is going to be lowest, because you're taking a chance by using Newt's A3, because that doesn't push the turn meter back. And Newt is the number one person pushing the turn meter back. You see, he pushes it back with his A1. Now after this, um, allied attack, usually that's Newt's turn, but this time um, Lonatharl took his turn, so now we're going to use the A3. Usually 3 A3s will kill, sometimes the second A3 will kill um, the Fire Knight. This is Fire Knight Hard 10, and it's required to do the Marius missions. So then I just put it back on auto again, and I let everybody go until and you notice the only person really that has any danger of dying is your Carl, and I really don't know why that is. He takes the first hit and he takes a lot of damage. Probably there's a reason, which I don't know. Maybe because he has the highest. No, he doesn't have the highest crit damage. Newt does. I really don't know why that he chooses to hit your Carl so hard. Um, so let's take a look here at this full setup. Yakarl does crowd control on round one. Yakarl does crowd control on round two. We do not use Glaciate on round three at all because it doesn't do any turn meter control, so it would throw you off if you use it. Cryodin, as you saw, he does crowd control on one, and then he doesn't use it. Then he uses his crowd control on two, and we don't care about it after that. But he does not use his speed. And then on round three, the speed is number one, and the other one is okay. Number one, his A1 is probably the best one because it's a 3-hitter, but it has a less chance of putting the freeze on. Newt, don't care what he does on round two. On round one, on round two, he doesn't do anything except Fury of the King. Now, Fury of the King is very important for Newt to open up with Fury of the King on round three because that gives him the counterattack, and that's going to reduce the shield by 3. So all these little tricks to reduce that massive, massive shield. Lady Mikage, she comes in round one. She does crowd control. She transforms and then does crowd control. On round two, she does crowd control and then transforms back so that she's ready for round three. Because on round three, she's going to open with Shadow Lash. that will prevent her from using Imperial Decree, um, because she's faster than the Fire Knight. So I need her to do something before. Um, Newt, round 3, he opens with Fury of the King, very, very important. Um, and and then he doesn't use A3 until I turn off auto and have him do it. So, and then finally, Lana Therall. I don't care what he does on round 1, round 2. He does not use his finest hour because that's his primary, most important thing on round 3. And then he can do Flicker Barrier. Now, if he was faster, if I could make him faster, I would have him open with this. If he could take a turn before the Fire Knight, then I would have that as his opener, Flicker Barrier, because he would put a shield on everybody, and that would prevent anybody from dying. Currently, my main problem is that sometimes your Carl dies after the first hit, and that would prevent him from dying, I think. But I already have a shield set. Well, not a shield set, a set which puts a shield on it, everybody. So I really don't know how uh, the Fire Knight gets through your Carl, because when he doesn't get through your Carl, he barely does any damage to him. So I don't know what there's an RNG factor there. So you can watch this again. Hope it was helpful. This got me through Fire Knight Hard 10.